Put to the class. All right. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to the Literary Cypher. It's the Cypher 14, December edition of 2021. It's the last one of this crazy ass year we've had, y'all. I'm so grateful that you all are here. We have an amazing lineup tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started. I got my tea. I hope you guys got your whiskey, your hot cocoa, or whatever wine. Depends on what kind of day it is. Truth be told, I probably should have me a whole cup of whiskey sitting here instead of this tea, but I'm gonna keep it chill for y'all. Okay, so we're gonna get started with Khalisa Rae. She's gonna kick it off for us. All right. As people are reading, please blow them up in the chat. If they hit a line that resonates with you, put it on down there in the chat. It's really good as a reader to come back to the chat and see how everyone likes your stuff and how things resonated with them. Readers, if you can do me a favor at some point during the meeting, put your links in the chat. Put all your information, your Instagram, your Twitter, all of that, so we can put it in the database for the Cypher and share it in the group. That way everyone has access to your pages, your books, because it's all about support. We want people to buy your books, we want people to attend your events, and we want them to pay. Okay? All right. So without further ado, I'm going to fall on back and not do that crazy thing I do. I'm already hype man and all that stuff. And we're going to get started with Khalisa. All right.
Hey, y'all. It's so good to be here. Can you hear me? Awesome. So I am surrounded by family tonight. I'm away with my family. So I'm with family on the Zoom call and here in North Carolina with my family. So I'm just gonna spit some quick pieces for y'all from my debut collection, Ghost in the Black Girl's Throat. I'm gonna actually start with Mackerel. When I was 12 or 13, my mother caught me and a special girlfriend bouncing our vaginas off the end of the bedpost like live bait. Our bodies rubbing against the maple wood, trying to catch a spark on the cold, hard thing between our legs was an awakening. The mesquite of our innocence rising to where my mother and her friends sat talking. And we were just at the point of falling off the bone. The moment when the pink of the salmon is so tender, when my mother opened the door, doused our flames with holy water and scripture, and made us forget the sweet communion of burning. Years after she scrubbed the cedar from our coals, I learned that my body is only alive when it is free to choose when and where it starts a fire, how long it allows itself to be wet and waiting. The power comes in knowing that my body is no tadpole, no fish to roast over hot coal. It is the flame itself, the blue and red ghost that survives even after the smoke clears. So I'm gonna switch pace a little bit. That's one of my favorite poems to date. But I'm gonna switch gears to Reclaiming Our Phenomenal Bones because I'm surrounded by some just dope phenomenal women tonight. So we're gonna do this poem, and this is for bell hooks. When did we lose our phenomenal? I think we left it on the back stoop, abandoned it like a baby on steps for anyone to pick up and call their own. I think we tucked it under our tongues, let it dissolve and melt away, but the taste of it still lingers. I think we spread it across our phenomenal, across beds in the backs of cars where we opened it for anyone who said the magic word. We smeared it on counters and couches, made it a jam or marmalade to lick off for satisfaction. But women, you have been phenomenal and everlasting since the beginning of time. Since the Nile and cradle of civilization, and Lucy, your phenomenal bones are proof that we were once here and breathing and everything. Our brown bosoms have brought nations to their knees. Our open mouths have made even the most powerful cower. Our brick and mortar skin has always been a phenomenal destination. Brownstone thighs, handcrafted cathedrals of a waist, sweltering temple lips, a museum of a mind. We will find our phenomenal when we just look and just be. Lastly, I'm gonna just close out with one of my other favorite pieces. Tonight I wanted to read all my favorites for all of you. Thank you again so much for listening. This is called Into the Woods. I must have wandered into the woods, open palms, stitches gushing. My 20-year-old something wounds advertising there is broken here. All my scar tissue, a magnet for men obsessed with mending boys that respond to women's cries like an invitation to console and fill me with delusions of grandeur. I was the project of wannabe martyrs that bore the cross of a thief, saviors that got drunk off the wine of women's wailing vulnerability, collecting tears like notches, sonic ears tuned to the pitch of damsel in distress. Because what's a hero without the conquest and crumbling? In this script, he is the lifeguard and I, the drowning thing he comes running to on steed to tower window in hopes of being declared a knight, when most knights are dogs in wolf's clothing, and most dogs are desperate searching for scraps. The test is how fast he arrives at the scene of the burning building, how quickly he pries his claws from around the neck of the red riding woman. What he doesn't know is I store a collection of knives in the pocket of my bruised and fractured frame, trained in the skill of bullshit daggers. Perfect my archery for he who thinks my body is made of straw. And all my mouths have compasses, all my hearts have bow and arrows, and I use Prince Charming's cheating ass for target practice. Thank y'all so much again for having me. It's a joy and a pleasure. I hate that I can't be there with you. Y'all have an amazing, amazing night. Love and peace to everyone.
So much, Khalisa. Way to start the night. Now here we go. Teri.
All right. I'm so jazzed up to follow that. Let's hope I can do that. So I'm gonna start with Bad Girls album cover. I've been doing these album cover poems. So here we go, Bad Girls album cover. By the time I was 7, I knew I would like sex, knew I would be good at it. I practiced lying on my back, knees bent, hairless prepubescent folds angled up to the air. I knew nothing of the actual act. The only penis I had ever seen was by accident, opening the bathroom door on my father's friend. But this was the time of Donna Summer. Under a street lamp's maraschino, there we go, cherry glow. She posed, wet black ringlets framed her light brown sugar face, pouting lips slick in shiny scarlet gloss, high heel perched on the lamp's base, plunging the slit of her dress back to reveal a black lace stocking, a garter as garnish. So naughty, so beautiful. Why wouldn't I want to be like her? Upfront about being wanted. After hearing Khalisa's, I was like, okay, oh. So then I'm gonna read some of my favorites too, but I don't read that often. This is the Goddess of Lust. I made 9 different goddesses. So this is Lust. She has an epithing from Prince, I wonder you. Lust exists as lingering must, once erotic cousin. She puckers for the kiss, but does not blow it, letting the tension grow, imagination deepening the blush. The fermented ardor of daydreams keeps her tipsy, never drunk. Lust sings of impulse to the nerves. Here ache quivers as a verb. To lust, flirtation is a mansion. Sexual tension, a wide circular driveway. Those are Lust's fingers curled on the poker, stoking the flames. Lust spit shines her things, soaked panties, stiff jeans. She is the prize thighs quake for when clits are rubbed raw. For her, yearning is an oiled frame. Let loose desire, a damp sheet stain. Lust is the fire gasping. Lust burns her name. And really, so I got to give you one other goddess back to back, the goddess of anger, because I really want her to have her own temple, and I would like for us to make offerings, and then for her to come down, swoop down when we need her. The goddess of anger. Did he touch you? Did he hit you with jagged words or closed fists? Did he laugh at you? Were you polite even then? Were you lava under the skin? Then let me in. Unsheath the dagger of me. You've tasted pain, now let me master it. Let me in. I'll use the dust of his bones for tea. I'll rise, vengeful and caustic, a florid fury, steeped in seething. I'll make his eyes bleed. Let me in. I'll dissect him unflinchingly. A backhand slap, a rake of fingernails. I'll spit my small mercies. I'll dance on him in stilettos, paint my toenails OPI red while the blood congeals. Let me be your ignition point, your pitch, the whoosh of hot, sweet breath. I'm all your swallow heat simmered into flesh. I too can lift burdens. Let go of fear, of retribution. Let go of decorum and shame. Ride rage until it bucks, then jump on it again. Damn it, let me in. And just end with this last one, because I don't read this one that often either. So this one, and I dedicate this whole reading for me for bell hooks. And I will say that this poem came after reading June Jordan. A More Perfect Union. Dear America, when I say America, I mean white people. You need a new name. I respectfully decline to continue this narrative. Evolution is upon us like a kiss. My tongue twists. I'm getting sick from holding it. Massa, officer, with you, fear is always a whip or white lady calling 911. We grew up in the same house, cotton fields, colonial red bricks, plantation shutters. But in 2016, you shit the bed. Since then, my blues smoke. Spirits singe my throat. Oblivion's a better dance partner. At least with her, I cough, but don't choke. Under your patriotic blanket lies a thorny bouquet. You market it well, so I miss the smell of copper, blood steady seeping down my wrists. The founding fathers bought bodies, but every day I'm the one asked for receipts. I breastfed the beast till it gnashed and took off running on its feet. Can I get store credit for my rage? A trade-in voucher for heartbreak? I'm not a white man with a gun. I can't shoot up a school, church, or movie theater for Burger King. A little right-wing fun. America, are you listening? You need a new name. I cannot keep talking to myself when I am not talking about myself. Maybe America isn't who I need to talk to. Dear reader, we need to knuckle up. From old newspapers to online news, headlines excusing whiteness ain't failed to disappoint me yet. It's time for the remix. Let the masses DJ, not another oligarchy set. Be that more perfect union. And while the ink is still wet, make capitalism beg for forgiveness. Forgive college debt. Establish a general income. Make felons voting legit. Write in healthcare. Not that Western mindset, but holistic. Meditate on that. Dear reader, I need you to know I have hope in us yet. Right, thank you so much, guys. Yay.
Beautiful, beautiful. I don't know if I'm just supposed to go right in. Oh, okay. Good, good. Well, first of all, I'm just so happy to be here tonight. It's been a while since I've been able to check out a literary cipher, so I'm just like thrilled to be here to have the space made for me, you know. So I give thanks. I don't know, sometimes I sing poetry because I think in another life I was a singer, maybe. I don't know, but anyway, traveled the sands of time and nearly lost my mind. So many people lost and need to be found. We lost in translation, searching for salvation, looking for a piece of peace in this wicked nation. So tired of being patient, I hear the music playing. It's real loud and the melody keeps saying, saying, saying. The time is now, Babylon, fall down. No more is the second time around. We marching for justice, marching for peace, marching like Martin did in the streets. We moving with ease, got fight in our feet, burning through to our soul. Trying to contain something not meant to hold, fearless and bold, more priceless than gold. We are the warriors, so let the truth be told. We hold a light visible for blind eyes to see. Hold it up real high, 'cause we got to be free. There is an esoteric agenda, and our mass destruction is at the center. Deep like a splinter poisoning the body of those who guide us. They deny us of even our basic needs. Mouths full of greed won't stop devouring what they eat. Long enough to see they're killing themselves and us at the same time. Meanwhile, we become too occupied with that pie in the sky that before we realize it, the weight we carry multiplies. We close our eyes and wander further asleep. Mama always said, be careful of the company you keep. Now we've been slipped a Mickey, waking up wondering how we got these hickeys. How did we get raped? Was it in something I ate? There is an esoteric agenda, and what we consume is at the center, the core. What we purchase from the grocery store, tracking the foods we eat, the places we sleep, the fashions we buy, where we fly. The all-seeing eye is watching you die, helping you destroy yourself, to keep taking until there's nothing left, to tie the bib of glutton tenaciously around your neck, feed yourself poison without regret, neglect your temple, deprive it of the nutrients essential to its growth, tighten that rope. I think it's a joke the way we talk about obesity, as if it's not a physical manifestation of capitalist hunger and greed. The seed has been planted, yet we cultivate our dreaded death on our own. Used to being left with scraps from the bone, fat back chitlins and pig feet, while our so-called masters feast on delicacies. Now we wonder why high blood pressure is a Black disease, why my father has diabetes. They tell me it runs in our family like I don't understand the byproducts of slavery. The savory taste of oppression first sprinkled upon us, then seeping in, sprinkled upon us, then seeping in. When oppression does not prepare us for freedom. Oppression does not prepare us for freedom. We just ingest an injustice against ourselves like we don't long to taste freedom for ourselves, harvest the land for ourselves and our babies. Instead, we cast our children cradled carelessly into a cycle of defeat because we feed them the same diseases we swallow, spreading contamination down through the bottle. Doctors diagnosing childhood obesity in infants now, while my cousin keeps returning to the hospital somehow, saying if she doesn't change, she'll meet an early grave. Eating garbage or barely eating at all. We must respect the art of discipline and make moderation the law of the land. There is an esoteric agenda. And our mass destruction is at the center, the core. A quiet war fought from within. Are you at least worth fighting for? Or maybe enough is never enough because we still give our adoration and trust to people who only pretend to care about us, when their true alliance is reserved for the wealthy few, who in return control everything that we do. There is an esoteric agenda, and this agenda is relying on you. So what will we do? Get to know Mother Earth again. Hold her power in our hands. Hold our power in our hands. Eat to balance our beings so we can stand strong again. Begin to eat to live 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 again. I just think Corpulent Corpses is the name of that piece, and I think it's a very important piece for the time because there's so much going on with health right now, so much going on with so much, but the stronger our temples are, the better in general we are to fight anything, anything, spiritually, physically, whatever it is. I'm gonna do one more piece if I have any more time. Okay.
This piece is really special to me because it's a piece that just recently came actually with being invited to do this. And so I really take that as like something special because I don't get a chance to write new pieces very often anymore. And so anyway, here we go. Let a queen dream. She just may make reality out of ether. Make man a believer. Make this world want to keep her, then want to be her. I can see her, the seer, seeing beyond limitation, seeing her divination, more than destination. She is traveler, not confined to one station. Nomadic, but still static, exact in her estimation. Summation of thought, energy, light, matter, square root, the sound of soul silence. Her portal laced with luminance, free of the veil of night, giver of sight to short-sighted, far-sighted, 2020, and still some may never see her because she is she. Prophecy. Fill her cup, she is running over, and still it's not enough to meet the demand. Everyone's longing, demands to speak to higher calling. Everyone wants to drink of what's fallen, but who's willing to hold her up? Not simply empty her, but lift her up. If balance is ever truly hanging, it is in the now. She is in the now. Time, space within what has been erased, and what remains is blurry residue. I see you, but can't make out your face like apparition. Everything in place in perfect focus, except the who looking back at you. Just feels a faint familiar, your fragrant existence, like a distant incense, aura of flowing. I find it difficult to locate source, the inner knowing, but since I am being led to my origins yet the same. I am from where I came. I have only forgotten the way. And my first name is not this one. Child of the sun, daughter of high noon. I was before there was moon or rotation. That is you. I remember day. That is you too. She won't let me forget. I need her covering, of which is food to my soul. Some dreams extend beyond what imaginations can even hold. Some dreams are manifestations of what is to be whole, if only we believed what we already inwardly know. Thank you.
You sis, wow. I love it when you sing. All right, up next, we have Monica. I can't figure out how to pin you. There you go. Well, I did it.
Hi, everyone. There it is. It's so great to be in this room with you all. I'm so glad you're all here. I'm so happy to be here. Okay, I'm going to read a poem, pieces of an essay, and then another poem. And so we're going to do it. So that's what's going to happen. Okay. So my first piece, based on like what we've been talking about and like reading our favorite pieces, I'm just going to read what I'm preoccupied with, and I think that's enough. So this first piece is called Empathy for the Cheater. So tired of forgiveness, I resort to violence. The problem with heartbreak is inequity. There's no way this cleaving in my chest feels the same for you, despite your insistence that you empathize. How? To replicate harm in an effort to understand is futile. How does it feel to wake up knowing you keep making the same mistake, keep tweezing away roots of my love without planting more seeds? And I accept every apology. Say thank you. Deliver a consequence I can't even maintain. The security a cheater must have to keep cheating, to do it again and again, knowing their beloved will never leave, will always forgive, will repeat, it's okay. When they return once more, new perfume between their shoulder blades, bite marks fading on their thighs. What does that feel like? Invincibility, impervious to consequence. Can you teach me to hurt you? If I perfect your technique, will the track marks recede? I'm really asking, what is your pain tolerance? Are your boundaries stronger? Would you leave if I cheated only once? Call it too much. Assume I'm not serious about this relationship. Request I see it from your perspective. Empathy. To enter into another's feelings. Does betrayal taste like copper in your mouth? Or pussy? All right. So, I've just finished this essay that I've been writing for about a year, and it's going to be published at some point next year, and it's called Cure for Last Night's Leftovers, and it's about my unhealthy relationship with bad alcohol. So I'm going to read the beginning and the end, and I hope you think it's nice. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Let's be clear. There is no hangover cure. Anyone who claims to have never had a hangover is either A, a liar, B, a teetotaler, or C, a responsible drinker. I'm none of those things most days, despite effort, and the number of times I've searched for how to cure a hangover in the harsh light of a weekend morning is embarrassing the older I get. So manage your expectations. There is no hangover cure, except maybe time travel or discipline, which if you're reading this, you have neither. Under the best of circumstances, it's Sunday and your obligations are either minimal or non-existent. Wash day, laundry day, meal prep day. Maybe you moan about how you're never going to drink again as you lull your head in your hands or wake up next to the toilet or ask where your car is. And perhaps this makes you a liar after all. If you're hungover today, I feel for you. Go get a glass of water. I'll even drink one with you. Now isn't that better? My spirit of choice is gin. Has been for almost a decade. It's become a personality trait at this point. Bartenders bring it to me upon my arrival. Friends gift it to me on birthdays. I have a tattoo commemorating it. I don't imagine I will change my preference, even if I change the way I ingest it. So why do I still drink a cheap brand of gin that reminds me of sexual harassment, self-harm, abandonment, and misery? Why, with therapy and financial stability, do I still insist on beelining for the same shelf on the same side of the liquor store with every visit? Let me save you the effort of assumption. The solution to preventing bad hangovers is to stop drinking. I know that, you know that, our doctors know that. But that can't be the only way. What about moderation? What about accountability? What about just drinking better gin? This is not an essay about sobriety. This is not an essay about relinquishing alcohol's hold on my life and saving the couple of grand I spend every year on wine, liquor, and mixers. This is also not an essay that judges the sober or the unwell. No, this is an essay about engaging one of my vices in a way that won't kill me. I'll wait while you get another glass of water. So I'm gonna skip to the end because it's a long essay. Okay, I started drinking gin because Sarah, who's mentioned earlier, loved gin, and I loved Sarah. But I kept drinking gin, cheap gin at that, because I didn't know what else to do. Gin is a staple spirit in most bars, making it solid ground for me to land on as I danced away from my emotional trauma. Romantic rejection? Gin and tonic, please. Bad poetry conference? Gin and tonic, please. Recent sexual assault? Gin and tonic, please. Make it a double this time. Hangovers might be punishment for irresponsibility, for foolishly believing, even for a short amount of time, that alcohol isn't a depressant, and there's no way this fun could be fueled by something so toxic. And maybe the residue from former lives is punishment for not learning the lesson the first time, manifesting in the muscle memory of a bottle purchase or a drink order or surreptitious exit from another stranger's apartment. Of course, perhaps reading divine disapproval into every disappointment is another kind of residue I should scrub away too. There's no cure for a hangover, only treatment of symptoms that won't work for everyone. In college, I'd take a 15-minute shower, eat crackers, and pass a gallon jug of water back and forth with the other people also hungover in my apartment. In grad school, I'd drink a bottle of water, eat eggs in a hole with hash browns and bacon, and go for a 2-mile run. Now, one bad hangover ruins my entire day. leaving me bedridden and repeating the mantra I've repeated to every therapist since I've moved, since I've graduated, since I've been assaulted. I just want to feel better. At the root of every morning greeted with nausea, headache, and weakness after a night drenched in cheap gin and melted ice, don't we all want to feel better? In January of 2021, I vowed to stop drinking New Amsterdam. When Rob, my partner, and I moved in together later that summer, we set up our bar without a single cheap spirit in sight. Our life together isn't built on alcohol. I don't want to escape any of it. I want to savor, to celebrate, to enhance every moment. And I want to remember it. I hope you're feeling better by now. I hope the worst of your symptoms have subsided, and you're back to your default setting. Tonight, I'll raise a glass to you, to us, for still being here. All right. My last piece is a piece I keep reading because it makes me giggle, and it's about sex. And I've been reading a lot of pieces about sex, so yay for pieces about sex. This is my final poem, and this is Consent is Sexy. The first time I fuck the man I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, I ask him to dominate me. Yes, I'm a low-key freak. It doesn't come easy to most of my lovers, rough sex. Despite what porn may teach you, the majority who are granted access between my thighs prefer to cuddle, hold hands, talk dirty but not scary. You know, they like, yes, that's it, instead of, fuck that pussy like it stole your health insurance. The first time I fuck the man I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with, I ask him to throw me around the room, slam me against the wall I share with my neighbor, force me into submission on my knees, on my back, face down, ass up. I ask him to pin my wrists above my head, pull my orgasm from my body, breath by ragged breath. I want this. I want him to do this to me. The first time I fuck the man I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with, I have only 2 rules. Don't slap me in the face. Don't tie me to the headboard. And he complies. And this is how you fuck a survivor. When they tell you consent is sexy, they mean me against the kitchen sink, my panties around my ankles, the man I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with drawing Sanskrit on my clitoris until I beg to come. Consent is sexy means a hand on my throat and a whisper in my ear asking if it's too tight or not tight enough or just right. Consent is sexy means listening for the difference between don't stop and don't stop. I used to nourish shame for my rough sex desires, never shared them beyond imagined scenarios cultivated in my dark bedroom all alone. I used to believe the orgasms I derived from repurposed assaults were signs I would never heal, never get better, never be normal again. I used to tell people my rape fantasy died, that one day she removed herself from between my legs and allowed me to bury her alive, shivering under the hard earth of a mild winter. Not anymore. The first time I fuck the man I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, I recognize him as such by the way he treats my consent, how he honors my submission with his dominance, how he trains me to learn his body like a language I will speak through our eternity together. With him, I can be both survivor and pleasure palace, the good kind, the honest kind, the consensual, wild, acrobatic, stain-causing, chest-splitting, throat-burning, limitless orgasms kind of sex. Will the man I spend the rest of my life with give that to me? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thanks, y'all.
Monica, let me go ahead and sip my tea real quick, girl. You do it every time. How about you about to come in the kitchen sink with? No. Thank you, girl. I love it. I live for it. So, oh, anyway, thank you, boo. You never disappoint. All right. Up next, because like I said, Adrian unfortunately is not able to join us. We've got my girl Krystle Let me see if I can't pin.
Thank you. Hi. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here and being in community with poetry and people. I am going to read 2 poems, and I would just like to say that I read in tribute to and memorial of my older brother, BJ. This one is called 33 Years Later, A Golden Shovel After Lucille Clifton. This year, tomorrow, he should be turning 33. But what part of he's dead do I not understand? If even after hugging his spirit each day, then rereading the death certificate, I'm still entering into doorways, believing there's a chance my brother is alive, might even be in the next room, waiting to charm or burst into laughter, brushing back his curls with a grin against whatever or whomever stood in his path. The pull of loss repeats like shadows of memories, lapping through them until the memories turn into fragile pieces of rust. Or how a picture of her before self, as in me, becomes a soft reminder how grief's paw crushes the will to live, its weight extended for the rest of a brotherless life. She spoils or realizes who she had too late. Like when he called, she thought, does he want to talk to me? Or is this another, sis, can you help me out? Looking back, she's haunted by what difference answering could have made, if it could have saved him then. But mostly, I wonder what might have changed had we stayed together, reared in the same houses, up in the Tehachapi Mountains, baying at stars for somewhere more and growing older. Then, would he have followed his daughter to the desert, where her laughter whistles along the dunes, off into frigid fall nights? Or into the wound of a vixen, searching for safety in the country that works to take away what joy one might have, then shoots a brother in the head? Of course, I don't understand the why or the reason. Like the moon, some things just can't be explained away. The stillness of him on the viewing room table is my clearest memory now. The sleep embalmed on his last bed, later wheeled off and set through the fire. I return to poetry to keep him alive, as ashes of what might have been taste like regret. Okay, the second piece is called Help, and it's after Noor Hindi. I'm not a curl anymore. I've straightened too many strands. All they do is break away. Unremarkable news. I'm unremarkable in my recent hair loss. I have dates on my calendar just for crying. I do this between my 6 to 3. Help, help. I'm angrier than I seem. I'm a bullet in a temple. Please close the damn window. Please tell my mother I'm tired of forgiving. My desire to fix this hole is rotten. Her desire to deny our loss with guilt's repetition is an act of the grieving mother. At the mortuary, a stranger hugged me like a mother. Please. No, I hugged her back. I don't hope anymore. I do the job as daughter, angry, loving, from afar. I cradle the whole. I fight my relapse into a reminder, then kiss a unicorn urn. My father wears a cross around his neck. A lacerated family mess. Brother, please, show a sign. My memories are losing blood. Thank you all.
Krystle. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Powerful poems there. Snaps all day. All right, I think last but not least, let me see. Let me see if I can't pin you before. Let me see. There you go. There we go. Chet'la.
Hello, everyone. It is such a gift to be with you all this evening, and such a gift to hear everyone's work. It is tough going last after all of that, but I'm grateful to be here. I'm in a ton of back pain, and I just feel like in the midst of this conversation, some of it has been alleviated. So thank you so much for all you all are sharing. I'm really glad to be here. I'm going to read from my book Field Study. I'm just going to read what are chunks from the very beginning of it. I feel like my internet is spotty, so if at some point it seems like I cut out, feel free to give me a wave. But it's one long continuous piece, so I'm gonna take a big breath and get started. So Field Study. I'm not good at small talk. At a former colleague's dinner party, I was talking about life, about desire, about this, and how I'd basically been single for 5 years. This feels like an overshare now and then. Someone tells me this is the beginning. Field research is the collection of observational information. Approaches vary across disciplines. This field is my brain's backlog of books and a lot of bedrooms. This field has maps made of men, of finger pads, of scrotal sacs, my muscles and moleskin. Analysis trapped between my split nails, their skin cells. Or was the beginning the basement of a church converted into a place of poetry worship with coffee and chocolate and another Black woman? I thought maybe I'd start with the night I met you, a scene that unfolded around a dining room table. I didn't think it'd start with two men, one white, one Black, at a dinner party. I knew and didn't know these men had life-altering things happening: illness, retirement, death in the family. These all feel more important than this and their races, but sadly, those won't be the stories I'm telling. After you moved across the country, leaving me and our city, a white friend asked me why I dated you, a white man. I said something about your hazel eyes and hair texture, at last suggested it could have something to do with the past. Fetish, a sexual desire in which gratification is linked to fixation. Were white men my kink? An anthropological field study makes it easier to breathe when my heart aches at the sight of ambering leaves. Someone asked if I was writing an autoethnography in poetry, a character study, a fiction, a script. In the belly of the building, the Black woman asked, "Do you still watch Scandal?" Quote, "When we look at the screen, all we see is ourselves. All we can do is comment on whether you feel it is a good resemblance or not. This is a conscious, clearly ego-driven activity." Mike Kelly. But what if you're an infant first admiring your reflection, reaching out to see if those soft fleshed hands reach back? As a child, I wondered why all my white classmates had hair that cascaded like cartoon characters. Quote, "Disappointed that Grazia UK edited out and smoothed my hair to fit a more Eurocentric notion of what beautiful looks like." Lupita Nyong'o. I fear this tweet will go the way of MySpace and AIM, but that the sentiment will remain the same. 20 years since my hair has lapped any creamy crack, my hair stays straight with more ease after trees lose their leaves. To be clear, here, I won't bear the weight of white legibility. My great-grandmother was paper bag test passing high yellow. My grandmother has always been particular about pigmentation, was the first to protest my natural naps. She called up grandson when she first met you. It was 2011. We're still stuck in the doll test. I guess the beginning would be preschool and a boy named Connor, or maybe I'm older. Maybe it starts with Bobby or Eric or Dan or Dan or you or Dan again. What can I say? I was born in the 80s, went to a lot of white schools. Dan was a popular white boy's name. I was one of the few Black girls in class, one of the only ones with a name that did not pass. In a classroom experiment, Bell Hooks asked her students in which racialized body would they choose to be reincarnated. Rarely did even Black women choose themselves. The Women's March meant a lot to a lot of women in my life. By a lot of women in my life, I mean the 53% of my friends that are white. With them, I don't have to differentiate between women and white women, because when I say women, at least 53% of the time, people, and by people, I mean white people, will assume I mean white women. These percentages are as fake news, but this fact is not. White people see whiteness as universal. There is no appropriate antonym for those of us who are not. Quote, to say this is human because it transcends its particularity to say something human is to reveal the state that people of color are not human, only achieve the human in certain circumstances. Claudia Rankin and Beth Bafreda. If I erase part of myself to make another part whole, I still only end up half a self. I've never been good at math, but that doesn't add up, so I don't march. Quote, our pussies do not unite us, Morgan Jerkins. I grew up feeling like the mealworm in flour or the pearl in an oyster bushel, a nuisance or a token to be pocketed, coveted, shown, as if my opalescence was a guard against my classmates' racism. Swimming in an oft milk-frothed ocean, I picked up a penchant for uptick speech and sang like verbal somnambulance. Perhaps the beginning was a door opening. In the 40s, Black girls thought Black dolls were ugly. The same thing happened in the early aughts. To love ourselves, are we ever truly taught? In 1963, Black women marched separately, had to fight to speak. De queer, not as household a case, as Plessy. Note, these are trail markers. Quote, no one has any desire to reckon with the weight of where we've been, which means that no one wants to be free. Kiesi Limon. Quote, there's the pain that leads to more pain, and there's the pain that leads to freedom. Black girl in Ohm. This, for fuck's sake, better be the latter. I'm just one woman working toward climax. Sometimes I think I just want babies with more manageable hair. Childhood trauma from periwinkle popcorn tin of balls and barrettes, a recurrent mother-daughter nightmare. Politics of respectability or respectability politics, assimilation, concession to the mainstream, policing that supports standard American English. Is my fight against the mad Black woman in me a function of said respectability? Everyone hates a Black woman. It's hyperbolic, but it isn't. Quote, women of color in America have grown up with a symphony of anger at being silenced, at being unchosen, at knowing that when we survive, it's in spite of a world that hates our very existence outside of its service. Audre Lorde. I've sat at a lot of different tables, have learned that I'm pretty code switch enabled. In a bar in a white liberal loving city, a white woman moved my body to position hers against a railing. I'm too tall to stand center, she whispered, making me small. In the same city, in the same week, a white woman spat her wine on me. I was choking, she barked without apology. To me, these aren't microscopices. I've felt like society's eraser shards, bits used to fix other people's shit then discarded. Somehow still a wet nurse from actual babes to Alabama special election saves. Quote, my secret, I'm always angry, Bruce Banner. And why wouldn't I be? Thank you.
Woo! This. I just feel so heavy with all these things to think about. Let's like, pow, 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 bing, bing. Y'all, that was amazing. That was so dope. Everybody just unmute yourself. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys were awesome. You guys were awesome.
Can y'all hear them clapping?
Yeah, I hear you
Clapping. The dogs are also screaming.
The dogs. With the dogs. Always with the dogs. That was awesome. That was so dope.
That was so beautiful. Man.
Beautiful from start to finish. Somehow it always falls together. And I almost ended up, it's crazy because with everything going on, just in the world, here locally, everywhere, not just with the pandemic, but it just seems like it was just one of those weeks where people are getting sick. I mean, everyone was sustaining injuries. The kids got sent home from school. It's just one thing after another. So it was just like, well, maybe I should cancel because it just, Adrian was out. And then, it was just some stuff just along the way. And I was like, nah, I think I need this. So whoever shows up, we're going to go ahead and make it do what it do. And it did what it do. Did done. So I appreciate y'all so much for sharing space, sharing your words, bringing this such wonderful energy. It's just something that happens whenever women are together and sharing their words. It's just really amazing and something magical. Every time we do a cipher and it's an all-female lineup, it's just the same thing. It's like, wow, it's almost like, it's just transformative and healing. So I'm all here for it. Hopefully everyone put their links in the chat. Did y'all do that? Everyone put their links in the chat? All right. Well, that's the end of the cipher. I always keep the meeting open for a little while so we can chat if you want to stay on, if you have a few minutes, anybody that wants to leave. Thank you so much. We will be back for the January cipher. I think it's the 19th. It's on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday. The 18th is my baby birthday. So we're going to be here Tuesday, January the 19th, 7 p.m. And make it do what it do one more again. All right. So anybody that wants to leave, thank you so much. Have an awesome holiday.
Thank you,
That's me
everybody.
posting about Kwanzaa.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
You wanna
Bye.
come say hi?
Thank you
Wanna
so
come say
much.
hi?